In Kent County, a march and protest allegations of police brutality. Hear from the people making those allegations and the police response.
Mike, you spoke with Barlow and police. Well, there are two very different stories here.
Yeah, that's exactly how I describe it, Paul. Very different stories from both of them. Antonio Barlow is facing charges, drug charges, loitering, and resisting arrest. And it's the way that that arrest happens that had him, his family, and a lot of other people in the community upset.
I love you, Jesus.
Friends and family of Antonio Barlow, with the support of leadership in the NAACP, marching through Dover today, accusing city police of brutality and demanding justice. Barlow says he was with a group standing near the corner of Queen and Reed Streets Wednesday night when a car pulled up. He says there were concerns about possible retaliation in connection to a previous shooting.
So everybody take off, started running. I'm running down Reed Street. They started chasing after me. I didn't get to see who it was until I got down Reed Street.
According to a news release, it was Dover police responding to a report of a person with a handgun. The department says an officer deployed a taser.
My body shut down and I just felt them beating on me, and then I was in and out of consciousness. I woke up in a pool of blood.
Dover Police Chief Jim Hosfeld disputes parts of Barlow's story.
There was an officer there who deployed his taser. Mr. Barlow, the taser hit Mr. Barlow, at which point he went to the ground and slid across Reed Street.
Hosfeld says the scars are from that sliding, not police beating Barlow. The chief says he has proof of that version of events. The city has a surveillance camera here at the corner of Kirkwood and Reed, and that camera, police say, points down Reed Street right at where Barlow was arrested and caught the whole incident.
I have reviewed it. My entire staff's reviewed it. I can assure the public that there is no wrongdoing on the part of the police department.
Of course, Barlow disagrees that there wasn't any wrongdoing, and Chief Hosfeld won't release that video. He says, though, it could come out in a court proceeding down the road.
Break every chain.
Legal action is still a possibility. Bishop G.E. Gordon with the Dover chapter of the NAACP says community leaders are exploring options.
Something's wrong here, and I'm going to be pushing for the NAACP to come and back the situation.
For now, there's the march and protest and Barlow's request to police.
I just want them to admit what they did. It's not right, man. It's not right.
And I pressed Chief Hosfeld on that video. I said, look, if it shows what you say it shows, then why not release it? Get this whole thing sort of over in your mind. And he said, look, it is department policy not to release evidence like that. So it looks like the possibility of this going into the court system is the only way that the public's going to end up getting a look at this video that Hosfeld says proves that his officers didn't do anything wrong. Reporting live in Kent County, Mike Chesney, WBOC News, Dover. And Steve, we wanted to know what kind of support that part is getting across the state, and considering the fervor on both sides of this debate, what we found may surprise you. It's easy to find guns for sale in Delaware using print publications and the internet. Some ads are from licensed dealers, many are not. It was through one of those ads
This is a Remington
that we found Bill Hopkins.
I'm currently using the guide to sell long guns. I won the gun at a Ducks Unlimited event.
Hopkins has been hunting since he was a kid.
The gun is not what I would prefer to hunt with, therefore I'm looking to sell it.
He says his ad was in the guide 2 weeks in a row,
I've gotten a ton of calls.
but next to none from people he'd be comfortable selling to.
A lot of people are asking to buy this gun without going through a dealer and having this gun legally, the serial number in their name, and I refuse to sell it like that.
Hopkins says he supports background checks for private sales.
I absolutely agree with that. I can't believe that we haven't done something before now.
Representative Darrell Scott says this part of the gun control proposal looks to be getting a fair amount of support in Lake Hall compared to some of the other measures. Scott thinks there's agreement it's important to keep guns away from certain people.
So broadening the background check seems to be a logical solution to addressing that specific issue, and I think that's why it's getting broader support.
We called a dozen people with ads for guns. Hi, I'm calling about the classified. The majority were for more background checks in theory. Many wanted to see the specifics of Delaware's plan. Senator Gerald Hocker says it'll be tough to write a law that effectively requires more checks.
That's very hard to do. Why should a father have to do a background check on his son?
Put a shell in here.
Support for one part of the proposal doesn't mean support for all parts.
Shoulder the gun and you pull.
Hopkins isn't a fan of measures that would ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines in the first state.
If you keep the gun out of a person's hand that you have to be concerned with, it really doesn't matter how many bullets it holds.
Lawmakers will likely introduce all 5 gun control bills when the legislature goes back in session next month. There is a similar proposal to this one being discussed at the national level, and a recent poll showed that more than 90% of voters nationwide are in support of expanding background checks. The NRA, however, is not in favor of this, saying that it would likely create a nationwide gun registry. Reporting live at Lake Hall, Mike Chesney, WBOC News, Dover.